the fucking satanic behind all this shit. It's her. I can't even explain it, bro. She just ain't no, she the devil, bro. That's how I see it. She the devil. Janice Combs is the fucking devil.
50 Cent's explosive Netflix documentary about Sean Diddy Combs just dropped, and right away, something didn't sit right. Viewers immediately picked up on it. Major parts of the story were conspicuously absent, especially anything substantial about Diddy's mother, Janice Combs. The final product felt sanitized, overly polished, like someone made damn sure certain truths never saw the light of day. So what actually got scrubbed from the final cut? Well, based on leaked footage and clips that have resurfaced across the internet, the omitted material paints a considerably darker portrait than what Netflix served up. From what's emerged, it appears Janice Combs wasn't merely standing in her son's shadow or playing the supportive mother role. Evidence suggests she may have been instrumental in molding the man Diddy became, possibly even laying the groundwork for the empire and the controversies that followed. After the documentary premiered, social media erupted with a common refrain, "We already knew this." And honestly, they had a point. The doc skimmed the surface, carefully sidestepping the uglier details and conveniently avoiding names that could have ignited real backlash. Curiously, Jay-Z and Beyoncé, both linked to Diddy through various industry connections over the years, were virtually invisible in the narrative. Their glaring absence only fueled more speculation. But here's the kicker. Janice Combs received roughly 5 minutes of total screen time. 5 minutes. We're talking about the woman who raised him, who witnessed his entire journey from day one. Naturally, viewers started questioning it. Why such minimal coverage? What critical pieces did Netflix deliberately exclude? That's precisely what we're unpacking today. The secrets that never made the cut and the shocking backstory that could fundamentally alter public perception of Diddy and his ascent to power. We're breaking down the deleted scenes, the resurfaced footage, and the damning testimonies that mysteriously vanished before Netflix's release. These are the revelations someone clearly wanted buried, and they shift the entire narrative. By the end of this, you'll understand why countless people are convinced Janice Combs wasn't just passively aware of what transpired behind closed doors. She might have known everything, every secret, every calculated move, every scandal. But before we dive into the heavier, more disturbing elements, we need to step back and examine the broader context. The documentary did offer a glimpse of who Janice is, brief mentions, some quick archival footage, but that barely scratched the surface. There's an entire dimension to her story that got edited out, and that's precisely what makes this whole situation so deeply suspect.
You heard about how Diddy mom came out defending him? She made a comment saying that Diddy is not a monster.
Yeah, he not a monster. She is. But I don't want to go down. But she is. She's the fucking monster. Everything in her fucking name. She's the monster. She created that, and y'all gonna see on that Netflix.
When Diddy got arrested and accusations started cascading across the internet, his mother, Janice Combs, issued a lengthy public statement. But what blindsided people wasn't that she defended her son, it's that she seemed more focused on defending herself. The tone felt less like maternal support and more like calculated damage control. In her statement, Janice worked hard to reshape her public image, portraying herself as a resilient, hard-working single mother who sacrificed everything for her children. Fair enough. But here's what stood out. She barely addressed whether Diddy actually committed the acts he's accused of. Her primary objective appeared to be distancing herself from his controversies and protecting her own reputation. One section of her statement, though, drew significant scrutiny. She directly confronted an old story from 1991, the devastating City College of New York incident. Diddy had been promoting a celebrity basketball game when crowd control collapsed catastrophically. 9 people died in the resulting stampede, leaving an indelible mark on New York's music community. In the aftermath of that tragedy, Kirk Burroughs, co-founder of Bad Boy Records and someone in Diddy's inner circle at the time, made a startling claim. He alleged he personally witnessed Diddy strike his own mother after she challenged one of his decisions during that turbulent period. Janice vehemently denied this in her recent statement, insisting it never occurred. But here's the problem. Multiple people who were close to Diddy during those early years have recounted versions of events that directly contradict Janice's account. That discrepancy is precisely what makes her denial feel suspect. Before we go further down that rabbit hole, Let's establish who Janice Combs actually is and the influence she wielded during Diddy's formative years. Diddy's father, Melvin Combs, was murdered when Diddy was only 2 years old, leaving Janice to raise him alone. She's repeatedly stated she juggled 3 jobs simultaneously to support the family, one as a teacher's assistant, another allegedly in modeling, though curiously, virtually no photographic evidence of that modeling career exists. And then there's that enigmatic third job. That's the one people keep circling back to, and it's where the story takes a darker turn. We'll unpack those specifics shortly. What's undeniable is that Diddy grew up immersed in a very particular environment. According to several people who knew the family personally, that upbringing may have fundamentally shaped the man he became, his relentless ambition, his approach to authority, the way he wielded power. All of it, they argue, originated in those early years under Janice's influence. Now here's where the documentary conspicuously pulled back. It showed Janice standing loyally beside her son, issuing public defenses, meticulously managing her image. But not everyone bought that performance. Freddie P., a former artist who was actually signed to Diddy's own label, certainly didn't. When Janice's statement went viral, Freddie P. responded with his own video, and he came out swinging. His reaction was visceral, unfiltered, packed with allegations that presented a radically different portrait of both Diddy and his mother. What he said had people immediately questioning everything they assumed they understood about the Combs family dynamic.
You the reason a man like he is.
You had any issues with her?
I don't like her. I ain't ever had no issues with her. I just don't like her. I don't like her.
Why you don't like her? You personally? Why?
Because she got my motherfucking money. That's why.
Freddie P. didn't mince words. He completely flipped the script. While Janice Combs was publicly insisting her son wasn't a monster, Freddie countered with a brutal accusation that she was actually the architect who built him. According to Freddie, Janice wasn't some helpless observer watching her son's empire rise from the sidelines. She was present when the alleged abuse occurred. He claimed she witnessed everything and deliberately chose silence, doing absolutely nothing to intervene. In Freddie's assessment, Janice defending Diddy now carries zero weight because, as he bluntly stated, her own moral standing is already compromised beyond repair. He framed it like one criminal vouching for another, worthless testimony that nobody should take seriously. And here's the thing. Freddie P. isn't just some random critic throwing stones from the outside. He worked intimately with Diddy for years. He had direct access to the inner circle. He observed how the Combs family actually functioned when cameras weren't rolling. His message was unambiguous. If people genuinely want to comprehend Diddy's behavior and trace its origins, they need to examine his mother first. That statement detonated across social media, prompting countless fans to start connecting dots they'd previously overlooked. But Freddie P. wasn't alone in breaking his silence. Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, has been systematically exposing behind-the-scenes details for years, long before Cassie Ventura's lawsuit ever surfaced. And Gene's revelations about Janice Combs are even more disturbing, particularly because Netflix somehow deemed none of them worthy of inclusion in their documentary.
You know, his mother had a modeling agency, and it was alleged that it was also Ladies of the Night, a prostitution ring too, or these ladies was doing things other than modeling. So the apple don't fall far from the tree. Yeah. So now you got to understand this, and looking at her and some of the stuff that he was saying, and their relationship has changed since I knew them.
According to Gene Deal, there's a sinister detail that Netflix deliberately omitted. He alleged that Janice Combs' so-called modeling agency wasn't legitimate at all. Instead, he claimed it was operating as something far more sinister, a front concealing activities much darker than talent representation. That allegation alone sent shockwaves through anyone who heard it. Gene explained that Diddy didn't inherit his controversial patterns from his father, Melvin Combs, who died when Diddy was barely old enough to remember him. Instead, Gene asserted that Diddy absorbed these behaviors directly from his mother's world and her choices. He invoked the old adage, "The apple doesn't fall far from the tree," implying that what the public now witnesses in Diddy might be a direct product of the environment Janice created. If Gene's accusations contain even a fraction of truth, it forces an uncomfortable question. Could Diddy's alleged misconduct be a learned behavior, mirroring what he observed throughout his childhood? According to Gene, these patterns didn't materialize randomly. They were embedded deep within the family structure, passed down like a blueprint. But what makes this revelation even more unsettling is what emerged afterward, because the details only grow darker from here.
This man was talking about that his mother could take her palms and bend over, put them down on the floor. Not bend over, but she could stand straight up and put her palms on the floor, bruh. He's saying that about his mother. Who describes any of their mother action like that in a sexual way? And then, I don't know how many dudes do kiss their mother in their mouth when they 50, 60 years old or something like that.
Gene Deal also highlighted something that made a lot of people deeply uncomfortable: the way Diddy used to talk about his mother. There's an old clip circulating where Diddy is on camera describing Janice Combs, and he boasts that she can put her palms flat on the floor. On the surface, it might sound like an innocuous comment about flexibility, but the way he delivered it, the tone, the inflection, left viewers genuinely uneasy. Gene commented directly on that moment, saying it just didn't sit right with him. He questioned, who talks about their own mother like that? According to Gene, Diddy's words carried a strange undertone, almost inappropriate, as if there was something fundamentally off in how he perceived her. Gene said the energy between them felt distinctly different from a typical mother-son relationship, something boundary crossing, something uncomfortable. And that comment was just one of many red flags Gene identified. But that wasn't all Gene noticed. He pointed out something else, another pattern, another detail, that might actually explain why so many people believe there's a much deeper, darker layer to the Combs family story than the public has ever been allowed to see.
The way she dressed is not age appropriate. And I know some women gonna say, how she supposed to dress? She could dress whatever she want to. Now listen to me, man. Nah, I ain't gonna have my mama around my friends or nobody with some come me drawers on and talking about, she my mama. I don't give a shit. I ain't gonna be talking about my mama is bending over, putting her palms on the floor.
Gene Deal made it abundantly clear that while he couldn't personally confirm whether Janice Combs actually attended those infamous freak-off parties everyone's been discussing, he firmly believed she knew they were happening. His reasoning? Janice was always nearby. She wasn't some distant, uninvolved parent. She regularly appeared at events, attended parties that were considered normal, and remained deeply embedded in both Diddy's personal life and business operations. Gene also shared an observation that really grabbed people's attention. He said Janice frequently showed up wearing outfits that felt wildly inappropriate for the context, revealing clothing that seemed unsuitable for her age and the setting she was in. He described them as age inappropriate, adding that if it were his own mother, he'd be deeply uncomfortable seeing her dressed that way around his friends. To him, something just felt fundamentally wrong. The energy, the behavior, the entire dynamic. And while Netflix conveniently omitted most of this context, the internet hasn't forgotten. Multiple videos have been circulating online, with viewers dissecting them frame by frame, desperately trying to decode the truth behind Diddy and Janice's relationship. One of the most heavily discussed clips? The now viral 4-drip video, and it might reveal far more than people initially realized.
What's up, Ma?
Everything's good, baby. I'm here with you.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too.
My baby.
Ma, freshly dipped though.
What? What you trying to do? Show my shoes?
I was trying to show you the shoes. Yeah, my mom's is single. Mom's is single. I ain't gonna hate on my mom's. She's single. Me and my mom talked about one time doing a dating show with her. And she's so picky. She's so picky, they don't stand. But yeah, that'd be the funniest show in the world.
It will be. Especially with me.
I don't even want to get started if she was doing that. We're not doing that. Cause yeah, my mom's single. Yeah, for real. Mom do know how to have a good time. And she ain't sitting in the house playing.
Right.
Outside moving and shaking, baby.
Got that right.
She come with me to strip club. I don't care. Real. It's my dog, I want to live life. We out here moving and grooving. So my mom told me, she just said, keep moving, baby.
That's right.
Keep moving.
Don't stop.
She could touch the floor with her palms, you know? Flat. Oh! Take pew, pew, pew.
In one viral clip, Diddy and his mother Janice Combs are sitting side by side, both hooked up to 4 drips, casually conversing like it's just another ordinary day. They framed it as simple hydration therapy, something harmless, routine, no big deal. But here's where things get deeply unsettling. Court filings connected to Diddy's ongoing legal cases specifically mentioned that guests who attended his so-called freak-off parties often required 4 treatments afterward because the events were so physically extreme that attendees would end up completely exhausted or even unconscious. So when people saw Diddy and Janice both receiving identical 4 treatments simultaneously, alarm bells immediately started ringing. The questions flooded in. Where had they just been? Why did they both need the exact same medical intervention at the exact same time? The timing felt suspicious as hell. And when you connect it to everything else that's been alleged, it definitely makes you question what was actually happening. Then came the kiss video, and that one made people genuinely uncomfortable. In the footage, Diddy is seen kissing his mother directly on the lips. And this isn't a quick, casual peck. It lingers long enough to make every single viewer uneasy. During that same clip, Diddy starts openly discussing how his mom is single and needs a man, a comment that genuinely shocked many viewers. People couldn't believe he'd say something like that about his own mother on camera. But the strangeness didn't end there. If you examine the video closely, Janice is wearing bright white nail polish. And that seemingly insignificant detail sent the internet into absolute chaos. Why? Because Cassie Ventura's lawsuit explicitly mentioned that Diddy had a specific obsession with women wearing white nails during those private freak-off sessions. He allegedly liked how the color contrasted against skin. So naturally, people started connecting dots. If white nails held such specific significance in Diddy's world, why the hell was his mother wearing that exact shade in that particular video? It was disturbing to say the absolute least, leaving viewers profoundly unsettled. Adding fuel to the fire, several photos have surfaced online showing Janice in bold, revealing outfits, the kind people described as more appropriate for a nightclub than a family event. And in many of those pictures, Diddy is standing right beside her. The physical closeness, the wardrobe choices, the body language, everything about their public appearances has prompted serious questions about what's truly behind their relationship. People online have been asking one persistent question. Why does Janice Combs, a woman in her 70s, frequently dress like she's one of Diddy's girlfriends instead of his mother? The photos show her in flashy, revealing clothing, posing alongside her son like they're a couple attending some celebrity after-party. It simply doesn't resemble the kind of relationship most people would expect between a mother and her adult child. But that's only scratching the surface. The story takes a substantially darker turn when you hear what people who actually knew Diddy during his childhood have shared. Several of his childhood friends have come forward with deeply troubling accounts about what life was like inside Janice's household. According to one of them, the environment was far from normal. He claimed Janice would regularly throw wild parties right in the house while Diddy was still a child. And these weren't innocent gatherings. The friend alleged that adults at these parties would often engage in explicit sexual activity openly, right in front of others. Kids in the house, including Diddy, would sometimes walk into rooms and accidentally witness what was happening. Imagine growing up in that kind of environment, where boundaries don't exist, and inappropriate behavior is normalized as everyday life. That same childhood friend said something that resonated with many people. I don't know exactly why Diddy turned out this way, but I truly believe it all goes back to what he saw as a kid. When you think about it, that statement carries substantial weight. Being exposed to that level of chaos at such a formative age can fundamentally shape how someone views relationships, power dynamics, and even consent later in life. If those claims hold any truth, then Diddy's adult controversies might not be random occurrences. They could be direct echoes of what he witnessed growing up in his own home. And that brings us to something even more disturbing. One of the darkest allegations Cassie Ventura ever made about Diddy, which shocked everyone who read it. This next part is extremely disturbing, but it's crucial to include because it illustrates just how twisted and unsettling some of these allegations have become. According to claims tied to Cassie Ventura's lawsuit, she described something that left even longtime observers speechless. Cassie allegedly claimed that Janice Combs had what she called a special recipe for macaroni and cheese, but the details were profoundly disturbing. Cassie allegedly stated that Janice would take a jar containing something deeply inappropriate and add it to the dish before baking, then serve it to both Diddy and Cassie, even consuming it herself. It's an allegation that sounds almost unbelievable, but it underscores just how broken and bizarre things allegedly were inside that household. If true, that kind of behavior isn't nurturing, it's deeply unsettling on every conceivable level. This story, as extreme as it sounds, points to a level of dysfunction that transcends typical celebrity scandals. It paints a portrait of a family dynamic that was severely imbalanced, possibly toxic to its very core. And long before Diddy's arrest, someone had already attempted to sound the alarm about him and the world surrounding him. That person was none other than Dapper Dan, a fashion icon and Harlem legend who's witnessed the industry from every conceivable angle. When reporters questioned him about Diddy, he didn't sugarcoat a single thing.
Did y'all see when they interviewed Dapper Dan about Diddy?
I haven't seen that one. Please.
They ran into Dapper Dan in Harlem and they asked him what he thought about what was going on with Diddy and if he knew Diddy. And I love Dapper Dan for this. He said, I grew up with his parents. He said, and what's going on with him has been going on long before him. Now, his father was a government snitch and a bad actor in the criminal world altogether. But there's whispers in the streets of Harlem that Diddy's mother isn't alive. Not his biological mother, but that woman is his aunt.
Whoa.
There are whispers.
Wait a minute.
There are whispers.
Dapper Dan, the legendary Harlem fashion figure, once made a statement that stunned everyone who actually paid attention. He said, I grew up with his parents. I knew his parents. But it was what he said next that truly hit deep. What's going on with him has been going on long before him. That single line fundamentally changed how people interpreted Diddy's story. Dapper Dan was suggesting that Diddy's behavior didn't originate with fame, wealth, or power. It might have roots embedded in his own family history. He was essentially indicating that these patterns had existed for generations, long before Diddy ever entered the spotlight. In other words, if you genuinely want to understand who Diddy became, you need to trace it back to where he came from. And that means examining Janice Combs directly. But back then, most people dismissed Dapper Dan's warning. They brushed it aside as old Harlem gossip, just neighborhood talk passed around casually. Now, with everything that's emerged, those words suddenly sound eerily prophetic. And here's where things become even more mysterious. Some whispers circulating through Harlem claim that Janice might not even be Diddy's biological mother. According to certain locals, she could actually be his aunt. Now, that's not confirmed by any official documentation, but the mere fact that people close to the family have raised this possibility demonstrates that something about the story doesn't quite add up. It's as if everyone who truly knew the Combs family harbors questions they've never dared articulate publicly. Singer Jaguar Wright also weighed in on this, and she's been outspoken for years. She stated that Janice was the blueprint, the one who established the entire lifestyle that Diddy is now accused of perpetuating. According to Jaguar, Diddy didn't invent anything. He simply replicated what he observed growing up. And remember Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard? He added another dimension to this puzzle, one that Netflix completely ignored. Gene claimed that the actual reason Diddy terminated his employment had nothing to do with job performance or loyalty. According to him, it stemmed from Janice Combs and the inappropriate advances she allegedly began making toward him. According to Gene Deal, things between him and Janice Combs started strictly professional, but she persistently tested his boundaries in ways that made him deeply uncomfortable. Gene said she constantly manufactured small excuses to demand his attention, asking him to run errands that made absolutely no sense for someone in his position. It wasn't about needing assistance. It was about asserting control. He believed Janice was deliberately testing him, trying to determine how far she could push boundaries and whether he'd submit to her authority. Jean recalled that she'd even dropped suggestive hints, questioning why he never called her or why he didn't pay her special attention. But he consistently maintained professional distance, addressing her as Ms. Combs and keeping things strictly business. Then one day, things reached a breaking point. Janice instructed Jean to go downstairs and retrieve some food from her car. Jean surveyed the office. There were interns everywhere, literally dozens of people who could have handled that simple task. So he immediately recognized this wasn't about the food. It was a power play. She wanted to demonstrate that she could make him do anything she demanded. So Jean refused. That's when, according to him, Janice erupted. She confronted him. "Everybody does what I tell them to do except you. Who do you think you are?" The argument escalated, and that's when Diddy himself intervened. Jean said Diddy emerged frustrated, saying something along the lines of, "I'm tired of this. Why are you always bothering Jean? Leave him alone." But even with that intervention, the situation never truly resolved. Jean said that after that confrontation, he started noticing changes. His schedule got reduced, his shifts were reassigned, and gradually he was being systematically pushed out of Diddy's inner circle. Looking back, Jean maintains he believes Janice developed personal feelings toward him. And when he didn't reciprocate the way she wanted, she weaponized her influence to have him removed. And here's where things take an even darker turn. Jean said Diddy's reaction to all this wasn't normal protective behavior. It was possessive. He acted territorial over his mother in a way that didn't feel like a typical son-mother relationship. That strange dynamic became even clearer when Jean spoke with Kirk Burroughs, who claimed that back in 1991, he personally witnessed Diddy strike Janice during an argument. Jean himself also remembered witnessing Diddy verbally berate his mother inside a limousine, telling her to stay out of his business in a manner that shocked everyone present. The tension, the control, the twisted family dynamic, it all painted a profoundly unsettling picture of what was truly happening behind closed doors. Gene Deal said he finally reached his absolute breaking point after witnessing one of the most uncomfortable exchanges between Diddy and his mother inside that limousine. After hearing Diddy curse out Janice in front of everyone, Gene couldn't stay silent any longer. He confronted Diddy right then and there, stating, "If you ever talk to your mother like that around me again, I'm going to beat you." According to Gene, Diddy went completely silent because he knew Gene wasn't bluffing. That moment exposed what Gene described as a toxic cycle between Diddy and Janice. Despite all the alleged disrespect, the arguments, even moments where things supposedly turned physical, Janice still stood by him. She continued protecting him, covering for him, keeping his secrets buried. And the question everyone keeps asking is, why? Some people believe the answer is straightforward. Janice might be just as involved as her son. According to rapper Maze, who's been publicly calling out Diddy for years, Janice is the key to everything. Maze stated that if anyone genuinely wants to uncover the complete truth about Diddy, every hidden deal, every dark secret, they should be questioning Janice, because she's the one who knows it all. Maze even claimed that Janice has all the receipts.